bring up one of their field experts, and as I mentioned, a good friend of mine, and National Geographic Explorer, marine biologist, just all around wonderful human, Dr. Erika Woolsey.
Hi, friend. It's so great to be here with you.
I like that we get to connect and hang out and talk about biodiversity. I get to start and end my day with you. This is fantastic.
I feel very lucky for that. And I love that we both have a plant and a VR headset in
the
background. You know,
I swear that wasn't planned. That VR headset just hangs out on my desk all the time. But it's fitting to have that and the plants because we're going to talk about new technology, scalable technology, and how that's helping you with your goal of connecting more people with the ocean.
Absolutely. So my story is that I am a marine biologist with a special training in coral reef science. And I'll bring up my slides here.
Yes, please.
And what I've found, can you see them?
I can. Do you want me to bring them up or are you ready to have the world see them? I can see them in the backstage.
I'm ready for the world to see.
Okay, we're bringing it out.
Yes.
There we go.
So I really want to talk with you about sharing the ocean. And this is something I know you and I have been doing together for a while. And as you know, I have been so privileged to explore underwater for about 20 years now. And most of my research was conducted in the Indo-Pacific, especially on the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. And I am originally from the San Francisco Bay Area, and I have come home because as we were seeing the decline in biodiversity worldwide on land and in the ocean, I began to realize that though we have a lot of knowledge about what's going on in these ocean ecosystems, a big problem is the disconnection between people in the ocean, because very few people dive, very few people swim in the ocean, very few people sail. And what I really wanted to do was help translate scientific discovery in our ocean into public understanding and action for conservation. And so my incredible co-founders and I started a nonprofit called the Hydrous. And our mission is to create open access oceans. So that's the phrase we use to describe equitable access to ocean exploration so that all people can explore, understand, and engage with marine environments, especially coral reefs, which are severely threatened by climate change and human impacts. And on the right here, we see a 3D print of a coral model that we collected non-invasively, and it's printed in white to visualize coral bleaching, which has been a pretty devastating phenomenon, especially over the 2015 to 2017 mass bleaching events. And what we've done with a lot of these coral models, which you can 3D print if you have access to a 3D printer, and you can also interact on our website and our Sketchfab account with these 3D models. And it's been really amazing to have thousands of people all around the world, especially educators, scientists, and artists, use these 3D models to share coral reef ecosystems. And what's been really fun as well is we have been able to 3D print them and paint them with thermochromic paint so that in classrooms we can demonstrate that when you put these in warm water, they can turn white. So if you had a warm glass of water and dropped them in, they would turn white to visualize bleaching. And that's been a big part of our classroom expeditions where learners get to interact with hands-on learning materials to understand coral science and marine biology and ocean issues and ocean solutions. And we are been for a while developing these really wonderful learning expeditions. So these ocean kits where classrooms or individuals or families can use these sort of hands-on materials that include a lot of activities and reflection and science learning, including the elements of 3D printing, as well as 3D modeling, and even immersive virtual reality. And before I get more into immersive virtual reality, I'd love to just also highlight another way we've used our 3D models is in a great partnership with the Smithsonian Digitization Program Office. with them and the National Museum of Natural History, we've helped digitize and curate over 100 of their back of house specimens. So these treasures that have been on shelves or in drawers for over 100 years, and bringing them to make free to the public. And so if you check that out, you can interact with models. This is a holotype, so the original specimen for a species called Stereotopora hystrix. And you can even use augmented reality. So this is when you take one of these 3D digital assets and put it into the world around you. So here was a little walk I was taking on Chrissy Field with Golden Gate Bridge in the background. It's been really a really fun way to interact with these 3D models. And so as we were addressing that issue of connecting people to oceans, another tool that we use in addition to 3D modeling is immersive virtual reality. And so this is an example of a still 360-degree photosphere collected actually after a mass bleaching event in the Maldives. One of our ambassadors, Hassan, is pictured here viewing this 360 photosphere using a cardboard viewer, which I have right here, and a smartphone. And we posted these online and had millions of views and a lot of interest. And I started carrying around these cardboards, realizing that sort of immersion into an underwater scene is really impactful. And we've took this a step further into creating 360-degree film. And so we collected footage in Palau in 2018 using this Virtual 2 camera, which collects 3D stereoscopic, so it gives the effects of depth at a really high level. Here I am on the left, being filmed by the Virtual 2 and Rick Miskiv, who was a producer on the project and an amazing dive partner and underwater cameraman. And there we are diving with some manta rays. And here's another shot of Rick with the camera swimming along a reef scene with some Moorish idols. And one of my favorite shots is diving with the manta rays as they do barrel rolls to feed. And notice that I have my hands calmly folded in front of me. That is the pose of a responsible diver. I am always more of an observer underwater than a chaser or collector whenever I can be. And so we created a 360-degree VR immersive film called Immerse. And we've had the great honor of showing it at a range of film festivals, receiving awards and grants, and showing it in classrooms. This photo on the right was taken pre-COVID. It was also put on a number of online platforms, including the Oculus Store and Viveport Video, and including YouTube, and it was really well received. We also did a lot of deployment pre-COVID with VR headsets, and it was just always amazing to interact with people after taking them on a virtual dive and just seeing how real the experience felt for people. And what was really fun was people wanting to share their stories of the ocean. And I started to realize that everyone has some kind of ocean story, even if the story is that they're afraid of the ocean or worried about sharks. And I think it's just such an opportunity to connect with others. And so, Wes, you recognize this photo because this is your creation. As a National Geographic Explorer, I've had the honor of many amazing experiences, but this certainly tops them all. Here I am at the Grosvenor Theater at National Geographic headquarters in Washington, D.C., and I'm live narrating a virtual dive while this theater of over 400 people all have their own VR headset, and they're all synchronized together. Wesley and his incredible team made this possible, and it was just incredible to experience a virtual dive in a social setting. We also had the two-dimensional footage on the screen behind me for anyone that needed it. And what we've been doing is especially since COVID and adapting the virtual dives from in-person events, is turning it into distanced events. And we've done that in a few ways. And I also just want to give another shout out to Wes, because he's been winning awards not only for the VR theater he created at National Geographic, but the work he's been doing since, in terms of deploying these immersive virtual experiences to people all over the world and making it as accessible as possible and removing barriers to entry by using tools people are already using. And one of the ways that we've been leading virtual dives, and we've led about 1 million virtual dives in the last couple years with our immersive VR film. And one of the ways we do that is with smart devices. So like you have your camera on your phone, you can open it and collect this QR code and select the icon for the VR viewer, and it'll split screen. You turn it sideways and put it into this viewer. And so I can show this QR code again towards the end of this talk. But if anyone's interested in going diving, you can deploy it now, or you can also make sure that your iPhone has, or smartphone has the YouTube app installed. So we've also posted this content on the National Geographic YouTube channel and have nearly 500,000 views there. And you can also view it on your browser and click and drag with your mouse to get the 360 effect. And you can also use your smartphone or tablet to have the effect by moving the phone around. You don't need a cardboard viewer. And I'm really excited to share something that we're doing during World Oceans Week, which is June 7th to 13th, is we'll be leading a synchronized virtual dive. And so what's exciting is we'll be able to deploy this virtual experience to anyone in the world at the exact same time. And so please have a look at this this URL, the hydro.us/register, and sign up, and you'll get further instructions on how to participate. And it's really at the forefront of how we share immersive experiences when we're at a distance. And I think that's really exciting, because if there's anything that this year has taught me is to really value connection to nature as well as connection to each other. And I think that this type of technological advancement and creativity helps address both of those things beautifully. So we're also taking a lot of this a step further into what is the underlying science behind immersive virtual experiences, especially for science learning, especially for understanding oceans and developing ocean literacy, empathy, and things like self-efficacy. And it's a great partnership that the Hydrous has with the National Science Foundation, who's supporting the research, as well as Stanford University's Virtual Human Interaction Lab, led by Jeremy Bailenson. And our partners there include doctors Geraldine Faville and Anna Carolina Mueller-Perez. We also are working with HTC and their hardware to deploy it, and Horizon Productions. And essentially, what this research is investigating is really how this immersive tool can or can't connect people to ocean environments and teach science. And so this is interactive. So one of the example of the learning modules is as we train learners, middle and high school, to become marine biologists, they get to use a controller and interact with their surroundings and, for instance, help tag manta rays by taking photos of them. Something cool about mantas is that the markings on their bellies are unique for each individual. And so rather than having to tag them with a physical device, you're able to use photographs to track them. Another thing that the learners can do in this virtual experience, which we're calling Explore, is monitor global ocean health from a satellite and measure biodiversity using meter by meter quadrats on coral reef environments. So keep an eye out. We want to make that available within the coming months. Another thing that we've been talking a lot about at the Hydrous when it comes to equitable ocean exploration and access is the phenomenon of women and the ocean. And I've been so honored to partner with Maria Sole Bianco and Danny Washington with great support from the Baum Foundation to create a podcast that we've called 21st Century Mermaids, which highlights incredible women around the world who are working in ocean science and conservation. And so what we like to call our modern day mermaids. So here are just some examples of our mervatars created by artist Amy Snow, based in the UK. And this week we just released an episode with Joshina Nagaya, who is a really incredible conservation scientist. So definitely check that out. And this is really inspired by an official activity of the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, which just launched this year and will go until 2030. So you can learn more about the decade at oceandecade.org. So without further ado, I'd love to invite you to join me on a virtual dive. If you have a smartphone, if you have a smart device like a tablet, if you have a cardboard viewer or any other kind of headset, I invite you to join me. And maybe I can ask Wesley to share the YouTube link in the chat, just in case you're not able to capture the QR code. But again, please, I invite you to open your camera app on your phone, point it at this manta, which, as you know, has unique markings on its belly, like a fingerprint or a QR code, and then follow these instructions on how to either move your phone around to get the 360 experience, drag with your finger, or select the icon to turn it sideways and view it like this. A lot of options for you. So I'm going to leave that up for a minute. And I would love to talk more to Wesley about this experience coming up for Oceans Week. So June 7th to the 13th. Please register on our website to learn more and join a global synchronized virtual dive.
Well, yeah, and I'm actually going to bring up the URL if anyone would like to find it. I want to make sure that everyone can access the YouTube link so they can view it as well. I want to make sure that I put that up really quick so you can head to that link, which not the easiest one to go by, but I can try and put it in the comments as well. Or this QR code, or there's also the great way you can find it, which is a little bit easier of a URL to remember, is you can head to the hydro.us/immerse-VR, which I am going to put up right now. This is also where you can find the link to the options available for your headset as well if you happen to have VR headset. There's so many ways to access the dive.
Mm-hmm. And we're so interested at the Hydrous in making ocean experiences accessible. And this is just one tool that we use. I love bringing people to the ocean in real life. I love leading dives as a dive master or leading kayak trips and just talking to people about the ocean. But we can't bring everyone to the ocean. And so we're trying to use scalable emerging technologies to bring the ocean to everyone. And I feel so lucky to have incredible partners like Wes who can make this vision a reality and be incredibly innovative and creative with these accessible technological solutions. So thank you, Wes.
Well, thank you for being the one leading it, being the 21st Century Mermaid and getting us all excited about the ocean. So I actually have to ask a question. I don't think I've ever really asked this either. What got you interested in immersive in VR? What was it that made you want to work?
That's a great question. It sort of happened accidentally because I realized it's kind of unusual that I'm trained as a marine biologist, but now I'm working as a designer and VR filmmaker. And a lot of the science and research I'm conducting has to do with virtual reality. And it sounds kind of strange putting it that way, but so much of it is that immersion and that human connection. And I was focused for so long on the science of it. And I'm so glad I did. And I got that expertise and that insight and that community and learned from incredible minds. I think what I started to recognize as I progressed in my science career is that my audience, or the dissemination of my findings, was getting smaller and smaller in a time where it needs to be getting larger and larger, considering the scale of problems in our ocean, especially regarding climate change, which, ocean warming, which is affecting coral reefs in profound and devastating ways. And I just really wanted to zoom out for a second and think, how can I connect more people to the ocean? Because when I think about how you translate science into public understanding and policy change and behavior change, because Wes, we can all be ocean heroes every day. We can all make small decisions every day that supports a healthy blue planet. And immersive virtual reality is a really cool way to do that. And a lot of the research that really drew me to this field was the idea that immersive virtual experiences can generate empathy and connection to other people and other places, and can take you where you've never been or may never go, and they can make you feel present. And I know for me, when it came to falling in love with the ocean and wanting to explore it and understand it and then take care of it, a lot of that came from that emotional connection. And so I really am excited about this tool and others to connect more people to the ocean and help create access to ocean exploration, which I wish for everyone.
Well, and it seems to be the great thing about the work that you're doing, is it's really making it possible to bring the ocean anywhere with technology. So, and to build off that, I am going to bring up another URL, and that is the hydro.us/register. So if you want to join Erica on June 7th at 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time, for 5 p.m. Pacific, you're going to take us on a dive that's unique. And how is this one going to be unique compared to what we were doing maybe just a little while ago watching Immerse? What's the difference for the one coming up?
Well, what's amazing is for that virtual dive I just shared, and for a lot of the in-person classroom things, every headset needs to be activated separately or one at a time, or all in one place, but activated at the same time, which is something US are an expert in, especially with that VR theater and your deployment in a space of multiple headsets that's transportable. But this is shared synchronized immersive reality experiences. So SSIRE, which is an acronym, Wes, that you invented and created. And it's this idea that you can have synchronized deployment and activation that happens at the same time without the user needing to fiddle too much with the technology or getting it started. So we can all truly join the same dive at the same time. And that's so exciting, because it's that presence and that social experience that I think adds so much magic to this immersive reality.
And the great thing is, I know that for you, making sure that as many people can access it as possible is really important. So the event on the 7th of June will be available for headsets, but not just headsets, tablets, mobile devices, and even desktop. So bring your own device, whatever device you have that you want to explore the ocean with, we can help you do that, is what it sounds like.
That's exactly it. And that's the goal. And I really hope that people find connection and inspiration from that experience, because I really want to share the ocean with everybody. It's just too good not to share. And this has been an amazing tool, again, to lead 1 million dives and more, and get as many people interested in and connected to beautiful and threatened ocean environments that we all rely on.
And we definitely do. They make most of our oxygen. And coral reefs, how much of the, how important are coral reefs? Because that's the area. What do they actually do for us? Like, why should I care about a coral?
Oh my goodness. Well, since this is the Global Biodiversity Festival, I can start with the fact that corals cover less than 1% of the seafloor on Earth, but support 1/4 of all marine biodiversity. So they are biodiverse. They are known as the rainforests of the ocean. And with that, they also support entire economies in terms of the wealth of food and livelihood that coral reefs provide. And they act as natural breakwaters, absorbing wave energy to reduce coastal erosion and protecting human societies. And so on a social, economic, and ecological level, they are truly just so valuable. And they're super beautiful and my favorite place to be on Earth.
So what's one thing we could do to help you in protecting coral reefs that like the everyday person like I could do to help?
That's a great question. And I don't generally like to be prescriptive about that because everyone has different abilities and needs. And I just want to make sure that you know that there are a lot of choices you can tailor to yourself. You can start by going to our website, www.thehydro.us, and learn more about what we do and find ways to get involved and register for this dive. We also have a lot of ways where you can reduce your carbon footprint. Think about where you get your food, especially seafood, and how you can make sustainable decisions and reduce your marine pollution and support politicians that want to protect the ocean. I mean, use all your powers as a citizen and a consumer and vote with your vote and vote with your dollar, and talk to other people. Join your nearest ocean community and learn more about the science and keep telling your story.
That's great advice, and one that we can all adapt and do what's best for us and also best for the ocean. So great advice. As we wrap up, thank you for spending some time with us and kicking off my Saturday. So I appreciate that, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Wes. I really love and appreciate you, and thank you for everything you do.
Well, I'm gonna now say good night or good morning to Erica, and